Hi YouTubies, how are you? It's Marie here. So I have my video up about Trump and I thought I would share with you why I like Donald Trump. And like I said, it's going to be a reason that many of you may not have expected. But I want to show you something first. I got this shirt and it's Donald Trump, you know, when he was shot and he survived. Um, and that to me is a miracle. And, and how quickly people have forgotten that happened. But anyway, I went ahead and I picked that up. So, the reason that I like Donald Trump is how he has a respect for Catholics. And that really touched me. I've seen many different presidents go through the White House. I know Biden is a Roman Catholic, and I know I'm too young to remember JFK, John F. Kennedy. He was Catholic, and it was a big deal having being the first Catholic president. And there's a history behind that. There's a reason why being Catholic and holding public office, the highest in the land, was a big deal. And maybe I'll go into that one day. Pelosi's Catholic. I know there are other people out there in the Senate and that are Catholic, but you never know that by the way some of them behave. Anyway, one of the things that touched me about, and I've never seen anybody do this, when Donald Trump was elected president in the White House, he did something that I've never seen anybody else do. Donald Trump, and I'm going to show you a picture. Donald Trump had a priest come in the White House, and he had the White House blessed. And one of the things he asked is if he could keep a statue of Our Lady of Fatima in the West Wing. And he had a couple other statues in there too. His wife is Catholic, and I didn't even know that. So here's a picture of Donald Trump with a priest, and his name is Father Andrew Mahana. He's a Maronite priest, and when I saw this, I was deeply touched, and that was the reason why. That's the reason why I like him. Not only that, because he wanted the statue in the White House of Mary. And that touched me deeply because a lot of times people knock Mary. They don't understand her role in the church. But he showed such deep respect for her. And that touched me. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You don't ever see anybody do that, And maybe some of them might think it's a publicity stunt or whatever. I really believe he, maybe one day he might become Catholic. I don't know. But there's another thing that I want to show you. And it's by Catholic Exchange. And it's a story of, I don't know if you can see it or not, Our Lady of Fatima. It says, did Our Lady of Fatima save President Trump? And it was published July 16th. When President Trump was shot, it was July 13th. It was one of the anniversaries of Our Lady of Fatima when she appeared to the three children in Fatima. Okay? If you recall, on May the 13th, 1981, Pope John Paul II was shot, and he survived. You can't help but think that God played a role in this, and I can't help but think that maybe somewhere, because of the deep love and respect Donald Trump showed to Our Lady, she had something to do with saving his life. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to put anything on her, but as a person of faith, as a Catholic, as someone who has a deep love for Mary, the Mother of God, I can't help but think that in some way, Jesus is deeply touched when people love his mother. Just like if someone disrespects your mom, wouldn't you be upset? Like, okay, let me tell you a story. A long time ago when I had my two boys, my youngest got in a fight. And I got a call from the school. And so I had to leave work and go and pick him up. Like, you need to pick him up, he got in a fight, blah, 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 he's suspended for a day, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I went down to school. This was like he was second or third grade. He was a little guy. Like, I think it was second grade. So I went in, picked, he was in the principal's office and he was crying. And I picked him up. I said, you don't need to be crying. I'm sure you got a good reason. Because he wasn't a fighter. He wasn't that kind of person. He usually was the type where if he did anything, it's usually something somebody had done. So, they told me, yeah, he's suspended. He can't come till the next day or whatever. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I ended up having to take the day off. Took him home. Waited till he cried, tried to get them all together. Because you know how sometimes when children cry, they get really emotional, and then they start heaving and hawing, so I'm like, calm down, you're not in trouble, tell me what happened. And then he said, well, Mom, I beat up this kid. And I said, okay. I said, why'd you beat him up? He's like, because he was talking bad about you. He was calling you names and stuff. And I said, why don't you just ignore it? I mean, he doesn't know me, And he said something that kind of I never thought about. And he said, Mom, you're my mom. I have to protect you. You're my mom. I can't be letting people talk bad about you. He's like, Mom, come on. And so I thought about that. And then when I think about it later, it's like the same thing with Jesus. Like, somebody disrespects her, he's probably not going to be happy about that. Like, that's his mom. So when I saw this with Donald Trump and him not being Catholic, I think I don't know what he is. I'm not even going to go there. I know he's something. But anyway, I was just deeply touched by that. It just really, totally blew me away. That someone can show that kind of faith and respect for a group of, for the Catholics in this country. Because if you ever listen to Trump, he will say in his rallies, and I think he did at the convention, Republican convention, something about the Catholics, like, you all need to be careful, that they're after us. You've got an 89-year-old, an 70-year-old woman who was praying in front of an abortion clinic that's now facing 30 years in prison or something, all because she was praying a rosary or something like that. They want to throw her in jail for doing that. But that really touched me, and if you can find that article and read it, it's a beautiful article. So I know people look at Trump and they're like, oh, he's obnoxious, and they talk about, they say a lot of things about him as a person, but I have not heard anybody complain and say, oh, I hate Trump because he lowered my taxes, or, oh, I hate Trump because my kid didn't have to go to war, or my kid, didn't have to go to war, or, I hate Trump because our gas prices are low. No. I just hear people complain and say, oh, he's rude, he's obnoxious, whatever, whatever. That's Trump. And let me tell you something. Let me share something with you. When you look at the lives of the saints, many of them, everyone thinks like if you're a saint, like if you're a Catholic, you're perfect. Perfect. And Jesus says, say, be perfect as my Father is perfect. That's our goal, to get to heaven. But some of the greatest saints had their own little issues. Some of them, like Father Damien, who worked with the lepers, nobody wanted to work with him because he was a real jerk. He was hard to deal with. Nobody wanted to work with him. But he was committed to what he was doing, working with the people who suffered from leprosy. The little flower, Saint Therese, she had issues with the other nuns. If you read her autobiography, there's a part of it where she talks about there was a nun that really got on her nerves, and she couldn't stand her. She couldn't stand working with her because she always splashed water on her, and she didn't like it. But she learned to tolerate it and to accept it and offer it up, And sometimes she wrote in her autobiography, like, I walked by people and I really didn't want to say hi to them, but I went ahead and said hi to them because I love God. So they pick on him and they think he should be this perfect human being. And I look at him, yeah, he gets on my nerves too. I do get tired of the little name calling that he does and everything. But when he went and he said he was going to do the things he did them. And I think part of it has to do because he was a businessman. And he is very personable. He knows how to deal with different personalities. And nobody gives him credit for that. Nobody says anything about that. They just they try to pick all the bad stuff about him. They tear him up. I don't know how this guy wakes up in the morning and deals with all the stuff he deals with all the lies that are told, the hatred, being shot at, having all these indictments. I don't know. He's got to have some strength from God, because as a normal human being, remember when Hillary Clinton was running for president and they had their debate, and then she ended up whining and crying, and she said that they were treating her bad, that it wasn't fair. I'm like, lady, you want to be president, you got to deal with the crap that they're going to dish out at you, Now you've got Harris, and they're trying to protect her because she's a woman. Like, if you're going to run with the dogs, you better be a good bitch. You better, step up and do whatever you're going to do. If you're going to be hiding and whining and crying, then that's not the job for you, It's a tough job. You're dealing with people from all over the world. You're dealing with all kinds of personalities. When Trump was in office, we didn't have a war. Now we've got 2 of them going on, and maybe another one going on. So, you have to look at the whole picture. But all I see is people picking on him and certain things he said and certain things he's done, if he has done them. And then you listen to the news, and there's a story out today, I'm not going to talk about it, but one news organization posted about it, and everybody else based their story on this one news organization. And it was, according to blah, blah, blah. This is what, if you listen and look and find other news organizations, like look on the ones that are more conservative, you may hear some truth come out of what really happened. And that's what hurts me the most. But then I realized, when you stick up for truth, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. That's the last thing they want to hear. They want to hear things like at the convention, the Democratic convention, it was feel good, the joy, 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 and it was electric, and oh, we're all family and all this stuff, and then at the very last day, they were singing songs about America. I'm like, it's almost like they're copying Trump, you know? And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, are they actually singing a song about America? The guy has his issues. I mean, he's not perfect, but he tries. And a lot of times, and this is another thing too, and before I leave you, one of the issues I heard from people who I talked to who were very anti-Trump, and it's just not, I mean, it's either you are for Trump or you're not for Trump. And I've lost friends and family over Trump. It's, gee whiz, I forgot what I was going to say. You, I forgot what I was going to say. You just like him or you don't like him. But I think the hatred runs so deep. Okay, the hatred runs so deep that they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to deal with it. They just want to pick on the things about him that they don't like. Okay? Some of you, you know, aren't going to agree with me, and that's okay. And I think that's what the problem is. You don't have the right to dissent anymore. It's like everybody has to agree, and if you don't agree, you're an idiot, asshole, whatever. You're backwards, whatever. And so people don't want to talk to you anymore. You can't have any dialogue or debate. Like, okay, there's some things I don't like about Trump, but there are some things he does that I do like about him. And one thing people don't understand is that you have 3 branches of government. Trump isn't the king. And people said, well, he said he's going to do this and do that, and he didn't do this and do that. Remember, when he was a president, he had a Democratic Congress. And every time he tried to do something, they stopped him. And I think that's one thing people need to understand. He wasn't the king. Now, when we had Biden, Congress didn't agree. He overrid them. He even overrid the Supreme Court. He just went, oh, I'm just going to make an executive order, you know. And you can't do that. That's why you have the branches, the 3 branches, to keep everybody in their own lane. So, and I think sometimes people don't understand that. And another thing too, a lot of people don't understand how our government works. They don't know the Constitution. I don't know how many of them have read it. You know, they just say a bunch of stuff and they don't know what it means. And that's pretty sad. But anyway, that's why I like Trump. Because of his love and respect for the Mother of God. You know, I also do like his policies. You know, everyone keeps saying he's going to get rid of Social Security. Actually, as president, he doesn't have that power. It's Congress that rules on that. That's another thing people have a misconception. I heard that, or saw a woman on a YouTube video the other day. She was like, oh, they're just going to get rid of the Social Security, and we're not going to, and that's because she didn't listen. She didn't stop and think, what is in charge? Congress is in charge of dealing with Social Security. It's not something the president can do. He doesn't make laws, you know, like in that way. He's not going to get rid of Social Security. He's not going to get rid of Medicaid or Medicare or all that stuff. You know, that's a separate account. And a lot of people don't know that. So, and I do listen to Mark Levin, and he's always coming up and saying, like, I'll listen to him, and he's very educational. I think he worked under the Reagan administration, and I think he was a speechwriter, but I'm not sure. I know he's a very smart man. If you ever get a chance to read any of his books, read them. They are a gold mine. You learn a lot from him. Like I said, I'm very conservative. I also have listened to and read Rush Limbaugh. It's another one. And a lot of times I like these people because they're common sense. You don't have to agree with everything they say, but sometimes what they say makes sense. You know, we've lost that ability to rationalize and to think for ourselves. Everybody, and I think social media is a big part of this. They just want to be spoon-fed everything. They don't want to pick up a book. You know, like I have political books, but I don't show those on YouTube because I'm thinking I'm going to really get, you know, hit on that. But I do collect a lot of books from different various writers that are on the conservative side. And a lot of it is framed and formed based on my Catholic faith. So that's been my groundwork, you know, and from there I've learned and different things. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, if you don't like me after this, that's fine, no problem. But I just wanted to share why I like Donald Trump, and that's basically it, because he treats Catholics with respect, and Catholics are not liked around the world. You don't hear a lot on the news, but their churches are being burned, their priests are being killed, the faithful are being martyred. I mean, it's you know, we've had churches in our area that were vandalized. You don't hear it on the news, though. You may hear it on the local news, but you don't hear it anywhere else. And so, you know, it is the way it is. And I think a lot of times the hatred for him is so deep because of his love for Mary. I really believe that. Anyway, I will have another video up soon, and I'll talk to you later. And I do pray for you all, okay? I want you to know that. When I pull out my rosary and I pray for all my friends that are on YouTube. So whatever your intentions are, I include you in them, okay? So anyway, you all have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.